God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome again to another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. As you know, I'm your host, Brother Willie Muhammad, and today we have one of our own. When I say our own, yes, Nation of Islam, but we have one of our own as a member of the Nation of Islam here in the city of New Orleans. Our brother, you're going to find more out about him, Brother Fredrick X, and he's just a good brother. And I met our brother doing the work that we are going to talk about. And in hearing his story, little did I know that he had an inclination or a love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and everything all worked out. But you're going to hear his testimony. I don't want to go into all of it. Let's bring our brother on right now. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Fredrick.
Alaikum assalam, sir.
Thank you for accepting the invitation for us to do this show, and we're going to get straight to it. I like to jump straight into the actual interview. My first question is, as we bring this image up, can you take us back to the first time you became aware of the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and what was it about the teachings that caught your attention?
Well, first of all, I was an employee at the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office, and every Tuesday and Thursday, I was the bus driver bringing the inmates from New Orleans to hunt. Just one particular time, had a youngster about 16 years old, and I told him, man, go do what you got to do so you can come on back home. And he told me, no, man, I got 50 years. And what touched me so much about it, I graduated high school with his mother. So the whole ride back, I started fussing with God, like, God, something wrong, because every week, this is just black men I'm bringing, something wrong. So I just kept battling with God and asking questions. And like every time I would go out of, my previous lifestyle, I would hear a voice saying, you sure you want this information? Because I never stopped asking questions about it. So one night, going back home, I get home, get in the bed, lay down. I hear a voice say, get up, brother, we got work to do. I laugh it off. Lay it back down. Same thing again. Same thing. I said, get up, brother. We got work to do. So I get up, grab my gun, go to the back of the house, went to the front of the house. So I'm like,
you say you grab your gun?
Yeah, I grabbed my gun. I work for the sheriff department, so I grabbed my gun, go to the back of the house. Mind you, I'm home alone. So then go to the front of the house. So I'm laughing at myself. I'm like, all right. The third time I laid down, a face was coming out of the television. And it said, I said, get up, brother. We have work to do. So as I'm getting up, but I'm looking at the face, but it's like the room is on fire. So I fall on my knees, tears coming out my eyes, and how I knew it was real, the very next morning, I had dried up tears in my face and my pillow was wet. So I can see the face in my mind. So I have a friend I work with at the sheriff department named Marlon Eli. He grew up in the nation. Now, we would talk about things like that, but we never got into depth about it. So I get back to work, and I want to tell it to him so bad, but we crack so many jokes with each other. I said, man, I tell him this, he gonna think I was tripping. So I finally told it to him, and he said the way I told him, get up, brother, he said, man, stop playing on me. You've been listening to Farrakhan. I said, who is that? God is my witness. I never heard of Farrakhan. I heard of Malcolm X. He said, everybody knows Farrakhan. I said, bro, who is Farrakhan? Show it to me. By that time, this probably around 2012, 13, whatever it is. He goes in his phone, he pulls the face up. I said, bro, that's the face that was coming out my TV.
Wow.
So he laughed and talking about I'm playing. I said, bro, I'm not playing with you. So from that day there, he started showing me videos, and I've been addicted to looking at these lectures ever since. So it's like, so about 15, 16 years now, I was doing it on my own. And one day when you all came to the juvenile facility where I worked at, I'm the only one talking about the Nation of Islam inside the facility. So when y'all came there, I was shocked. And most people, they would tell me who coming. I never knew y'all was coming or nothing. All this caught me off guard. But I can remember I went to the anniversary of the Million Man March, October 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy with the same uniform on, I never knew who he was, don't know where he come from. He asked me, did I want to join? And I'm like, yeah. I was just so hype about it. Yeah, what I need to do. The guy told me just like this. He said, no, now is not the time for you to join, but you're going to know the time to join because your family and friends would not accept you looking like this at this particular time in 2015.
Wow.
When you bought Brother Tony Muhammad,
Brother Troy
Muhammad, tall red guy. So I'm listening to him talk, and he said, who want to come out the next day? Because y'all came on a Saturday. So he said, who come out Sunday? So when I got to the mosque, that was my first time in the mosque. For some strange reason, I got the first seat. But as he doing his lecture, he comes off the podium, and I tell people, you can go back and look at the tape. He came off, he was talking about when he got power. People gave him the information. He came off the podium, walked to me, took my hand and said, now I'm giving you the power. What you gonna do with it? And in my mind, that very moment, I knew that's where I needed to be at. And that's the day when I joined.
Bruh, listen, man, I've heard a lot of how people came to Islam. That right there is ranked in my top. And there's a lot into that, brother. And there is a lot into that. And that's God, man. That is God in the work that you're doing. You mentioned about in that experience, or the brother told you about your family and friends won't be able to accept you at that moment. So now that you have accepted and you registered, you went through the processing. So how have your family and friends and peers responded to your decision?
Well, we go back and forth because I grew up a Christian all my life. Went to a Christian church, and dad is a pastor. So we do our little thing, go back and forth. It'd be fun though. But it's I feel like they accept me more because back then when I was just doing it, people be like, everybody see and hear something new, and that's what they like at the moment. But I ain't gonna lie, I actually prayed to God, if it wasn't for me, take it away. Because it was, I had variance with different family members and things like this, and I kept praying to God, if this not for me, take it from me. Man, it got stronger. It got stronger. It's just something I feel like I can't let go now.
Dang. And so were there any fears or hesitations you had before taking that step?
Yeah, it was fear because the stories I hear about people don't like the black Muslims, and people don't like Farrakhan. You're gonna be scorned for this, scorned for that. But I believe, I know I'm a bold and brave person, and I say once I came to the notion that I feel like God did this for me, I say the hell with the rest of it. So I went through it, in every obstacle that I had since. I always looked at a lecture, and man, I swear, it's something he said in the lecture that got me through what I was going through. So it's like a guide for me.
Praise me to a lot. And you talked about your work in the correctional facilities with adults. But now when I met you, you were working. I first met you at a correctional facility for young people. So how did you begin working with incarcerated youth specifically?
Came home. I do executive protection. That was my thing for different celebrities and things like that. Came home off the road one time, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I never put an application in for this job. Someone told me that if I was going back to the sheriff department, but they said once your name get in Indeed, it goes to all type of security jobs. So one morning I was sleeping, the lady in HR, she called me and said, "Come check the job out." And I'm like, "Ma'am, I don't deal with children." And the lady was like, she just was so genuine. Never met her before in my life. She like, "Boy, just come on over here and see if you like the job." I said, "All right." She said, I went the next day. That very same day, they did all my paperwork. I was hired on the spot. So it was like it, to me, I feel like it's all meant to be.
Wow. That's, man, it just seemed like God is just guiding your steps through your life. And because you have had the experience of working with adults, incarcerated adults, and now incarcerated youth, my question to you is, what are some of the challenges that these young men face that people on the outside may not understand?
To me, before coming into the knowledge of the Nation of Islam, I feel like they're in the same boat. I didn't know. And a lot of the men and the young men I came across, they don't know. They don't have the information to help them. Now you have people come and say they're going to help and do certain things, but it only gets them to a certain level. This information that I start receiving from the Nation of Islam, it takes you to heights that, it's like you feel like when I'm debating with somebody, it's like I feel like I always can beat them with something that I learned from the Nation. And I like debating with them, my different friends, things like that, but they don't have the information they don't have the information. But what I have come to know, when I give them the information, they be intrigued about it. So they want to know. See, like one thing I try to tell them, I be like, "Man, God really came to check on you." When I ain't gonna lie, when I first heard it, I said, "Oh man, that's foolishness." I see that's crazy. So, but one thing about me, I don't take things for face value. I dig into things. So when I started, backtracking on with Elijah Muhammad, I found out that he only had a 4th grade education. He wasn't a man of, I'm 6'2". He was about 5 feet or something like that. His stature wasn't big. So how in the world this man was able to obtain any type of information to turn people's lives around with no education, and he ain't no big old man. So he don't, when you walk in the room, you probably can't even see him. So that's about it.
Man, that is powerful. What an additional advice would you give to people who, some people are quick to write off the young people, man. And like, I've seen you interact with these young brothers, and I've seen their love and their respect from you. And you've told me about the impact that you have in the facility. What advice would you give to people who are dealing with young people who feel like they're just ready to write them off?
I tell them this every day. Take your time and listen to them. When I was coming up as a child, when you won't tell your parents or your grandparents something, what they tell you, be quiet. Stop telling them to be quiet. Listen to what they have to say, because they may be telling you something important. A lot of these children that I ran across, and you sit down and you talk to them, and you look at some of the crimes that they do, but if you don't have nothing to eat at home, if you don't have no family structure, you don't have no discipline, you don't have no stability, you just like a wild Mustang out in the wild. You just gonna be roaming. And that's basically what they are. They don't have no discipline, no stability or structure. And when you look at, sad to say, when I see the parents that come into the facility, you look at the children and you see why some of them are the way they are. They just not getting the proper information. I think with the proper information, they can change.
Wow. And I remember when I talked to you before, you talked about how some of the difficulty that you encountered as a result of, you weren't in the Nation at that time, but you were studying and reading about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so what were some of those difficulties you faced because of your favor, your liking of the minister and following what he's teaching?
Oh, well, to me, one of my greatest ones was I actually was fired 4 times, at the same facility under a different director. So, but the first time when they sit down, they want to give you disciplinary action. I'm like, man, what I did? He could never tell me what I did. He told me, he said, these are his exact words, man. He said, if I get you, I'm gonna get the rest of them. And he said, somebody had, what he said? What he called me? Oh, he said, somebody has to be the sacrificial lamb. And I ain't gonna lie, I'm a comedian. I like to crack jokes. So I jumped up. I said, so you calling me Jesus? So, really and truly, I don't know if he was playing, but he was, when I saw he was serious, I got serious. I said, man, you ain't gonna beat me with this here. So, but working in our job, you got a thing called civil service. So I was able to go to civil service and win my case because he fired me for nothing. Because we had a lot of fights, things going on in the facility, and I was trying to tell him how to handle some of this. And he like, you ain't supposed to be doing this or that. But as a black man, I feel like if you got two black boys into it, somebody needs to step in the middle. They didn't want to do that. And like y'all have ceasefire and all that. He didn't want to do none of that. So me and him clashed on that part. So Lee's actually got fired 3 more times after keep coming back to work. But after that, the mayor, she finally got rid of him. And that's when I knew. But like I said, I only could beat him because I used those lectures to help me. Something I found in one of them lectures that helped me and guided me to prevail against him.
Do you remember specifically what was it that helped you?
No, I used to be hot-headed. So I started being wise with him. I never fussed with him. So it looked like the more I talked straight with him and stayed cool, it looked like he wanted the old me to come out, but I was, and I say about sarcasm. So it was like sarcasm to me. So I just was, yes, sir, no, sir. And as I went through these stages with him, it's like it antagonized him to see me with a cool level. And I learned that through Islam, like just be cool, be patient, and just be straight with him.
Man. And you mentioned briefly how you got into you were doing executive protection. How did you get involved with that? And for those who are listening, can you explain to them what executive protection is and how you got involved in it?
Working for the sheriff department, do a lot of security when celebrities, New Orleans is a part of the city. So when they would have celebrities come to town, me and my friend, we would all go and pick them up and ride around with them. I was mostly like a bodyguard, not so much security. I was always with them. And like one of the artists I had is like the #1 artist in the world right now, NBA Youngboy.
And we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, I was with him.
So that's how the way that you first began to know our brother right here, NBA Youngboy, you said that it came from you doing executive protection?
Yes, sir. One weekend, he had when he first started rapping, he had some concerts right, no more than 100 miles from here, like 4 different shows. And me and my friend was hired to go with him. And I'm like, man, when I looked at the videos and I said, hold on, because it was all them the youngsters at the time. But not knowing, to me now, as I'm older, God was he was showing me the youth. Now I was able to be with in a sense, he the top youth out there right now. And being with them for those 2.5 years, it showed me what that they was what the youth are going through. Because what people see now is not how how he first started out, the glitz and the glamour. He's like the everyday child. When you saw him, I remember first meeting him. He had a jacket over him, and the boy come up with 2 guns. And we said, whoa, man, you can't bring that with us. Whatever their beef and stuff they was into, they felt like they needed it. So we sit there and we talked it out, and he let me and my friend let us do our job. And so that's when we became friends and brothers at that time. So that was my first step of really getting inside of a young man's mind, sitting there talking to him. See, because everybody said this and that about him, but I was able to sit there and talk to him about personal things. So, you know, if you, you know, as a young child like that and certain things going on, you know, you're going to take things a certain way. And especially when they get their money in their hand, things really change.
You know, man, I agree. The young people love him, brother. To them, he is their GOAT. And when he came here in the city of New Orleans, I think he did like 2 concerts back to back. One of my favorite, one of his songs that he made is that one of my favorites that he made is a song called "Lonely Child." And when you listen to what he's saying, you know, he basically talking about how he does therapy, he does this, he does that, and he's really calling out. You know what I'm saying? When you listen to a song, so you've had the opportunity to be around him. He just was recently, he got out of jail and then he went on tour. But you see a side of him that other people don't see. Talk about that side, you know, because he looked like he's very involved in his children's lives and everything.
Oh yeah, he's a very genuine person. If he got love for you, he gonna take care of you. But like I say, you know, I think when his grandparents died, I was able to. We went to the hospital in Baton Rouge. I saw a young boy seeing his grandmother about to pass, and I watched him break down. And I say, but then you know you hear what's in the news and things like that. But he's not really like that, you know. But he ain't scary now. So you know how it is. So we was in Philadelphia one time. I watched his friends get mad with him. He had a lot of money, and in Philadelphia, they have an area that looked like Skid Row. I watched this boy get off the bus, walk the whole line, giving out money to the people. I don't watch him do all type of different acts that show you that he has a heart for people. You know, and I think that's a side that a lot of people don't know about him, that they should know about him. Like you said, that song "Lonely Child," he got certain songs. He's telling you about his childhood. He's telling you about the things that he done been through.
And just like what you said, definitely, you can tell. I don't sense fear in him. I saw some videos one time where I think he went to go shoot a video, or he was leaving out of a mall, and some people try to press him, and he wasn't with a lot of people, and he ain't back down, brother. He ain't back down. Yeah, he ain't backing down, and you see that in him. But just like you also said, what the media and others don't often talk about is that other side of him. You know, they show the side with him responding to people trying to pressure him. But when you see people want to stop a bus to get out and give people money, you know that this dude has a heart and he has a compassion, you know, for others. So when you looking at that, and from your dealing with the young people that you deal with, how do you see hip hop affecting them?
Oh, hip hop affected children tremendously. More than I heard this when I was coming up. I'm 43 years old now, so as I'm getting older, you know, I think back to what I heard when I was young. So it impact. They love him. If that's just like when he started to walk going down Canal Street. It started with 10, I say about 10 people, including his entourage. Man, when you look back, the children was coming out of nowhere. So people think, all right, somebody gonna do him some this and that. No, indeed, they love him. Shit, he's like like you say, he did Michael Jordan. Some people say he did Michael Jackson. You know,
Michael Jackson.
For the youth, he is, because most of the children see themselves in him. You know, his stories line up. You know, he lived a certain way, the same way they live. So now, if everything lining up for him, that's who they're gonna go with. You know, you really don't have too much of people saying he lying about this or he lying about that, because he really not. The stuff that he telling you, the stuff that he's saying, this stuff actually happened. Yeah, some of it I got to witness it. I said, no, man, I'm from New Orleans. I'm too old for this. Even like with Farrakhan, when we was on tour in 2017, all I had was my headphones, All I was listening to the lectures, and I had the message to the black man. And I remember one day in Memphis, I said, bro, I found Jesus. He looked at me like I was crazy. I said, bro, I'm telling you. I said, the modern day Jesus. I ain't saying the Jesus from way back, but I'm saying the closest thing that we could get to him. Man, he rolled a window up on me. I said, all right, but I'm telling you. But he got some knowledge of it, though.
Mm-hmm. Praise be to Allah. And then in regards to, you talked about that viral moment. I know you left the miles and you were able to go through that. And you had a chance to change. And you were in your uniform. And you told me, I know you mentioned to Jason, I think me and you and I briefly talked about it. Talk about the impact that you had when you walked through, you were able to go backstage before the concert and you had your FOI uniform on.
Yeah. So now you got people from New Orleans, and this is what I say, upcoming, this is what I feel like we need to do. We need to, me personally, I know I'm going to get out more for the people of New Orleans. Like DJ Academics, all them boys from up north, they walk up to me. Mm-hmm. How you doing, brother? Shake my hand. They know what it is. Like people who wasn't from here, they knew this. But the people down here, like, Fred, who you driving? What you doing? And it kind of it ain't bothering me, but I say, man, them people, they don't know. Then we go back to that again. The people don't know. So it's like everybody who saw me back there, it was different. I'm walking, they getting out my way. I say it was strange to me because most people it's packed, jam packed, they'll bump you, do this and that. They weren't doing none of that when I had the uniform on.
Did they ask you questions about the uniform? What this mean? What that mean?
Some people did, but like I said, most people who wasn't from here, they knew. So they'll walk up, you guys, they'll do all this kind of stuff. They giving you gestures to let you know. All right, brother, this, that, and the third. Like I said, most of the people down here from New Orleans, they don't know. So we got to get this message out to them.
That is definitely. How did NBA Youngboy get a chance to see you in your uniform, your FY uniform?
When I first saw him in the East, and I was just standing there, and I was much bigger back then, so I'm just standing on the sidewalk. All I hear him ask the bodyguards, his new bodyguards, who that is over there. So my friend was like, "That's Fred." He like, what? Man, there ain't no Fred. So when I walked up to him, he just gave me a hug. He just looked, he smiled. I told him, I said, I told you I was going to do it. So, yeah, we'll be in touch in a minute.
Yeah, that's a blessing, man. And that is good. And then as we talk about in regards to, looking back at your journey into Islam, how do you say, like, some specific ways Islam has changed you?
Oh, it changed me tremendously because I used to drink a lot, party, eat bad foods. It's like I got a clear way of thinking now. My days seem better now. Skin better.
I see it.
But when I first heard about all this, I was like, man, yeah, right. But I'm the type of person, I'm going to test it to see. And like I tell anybody, it's a difference making in your life. Now I'm not saying it, I'm not saying it's perfect, things like that. Because people, when I talk to certain people, they'll be like, well, you think you're perfect. I say, no, I'm not perfect at all. But my ways is changing. I feel better. I feel like I can contact God better. All type of stuff, my all around life. And I see how people treat me now differently. I used to, curse and play around with my friends, this and that. They don't do it so much now, So I see a big difference in my life.
Beautiful. And then in regards to, now you mentioned something earlier. You talked about your father being a pastor, right?
Yeah.
So how are you navigating that? Because some people think that when people join Islam, that means they're becoming anti-Bible, anti-Jesus, anti-church. How are you navigating that relationship? How has that been?
Oh, it's fun with my dad. It's like my best friend. We go at it every day about something. So I think he's sneaking and watching Farrakhan lectures too. Because he always telling me something about it now. So I think he's watching it. But at first it was boy, don't do this, boy, don't do that. This happened in the nation, that happened in the nation. When I was, and every time I got fired, he was one of the ones. They got you now. You know, and they talking about Farrakhan. I told them people gonna get you. I said, all right, I'm gonna show you. So it was, you know, it's a fun battle with him. So it brought our relationship closer. You know, like I told him, I said, you're a pastor, you did what you did, but I'm a man, I'm gonna do what I have to do, and I feel like this right for me. So, yeah.
How was it? You know, I hear people talk about being a PK kid, a preacher's kid. Like, how was that growing? Did you have, what was that experience like? Was your daddy always a pastor while you were growing up, or was it something in your life?
No, he wasn't no pastor. Always, no. I was pretty much, me personally, I really was the type of child, I hung with other people's families. Like I grew up in Pitchertown, Shrewsbury. So I knew all my family members, but I was always with other people. You know, I was always gone playing sports and doing things like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, me and my father, we didn't grow up in the same household together.
Mm-hmm. But how's y'all, would you say y'all have a good relationship? Was it
great?
Was it always like that? Was it always like that, or it grew that way over time?
No, I tell him this all the time. I say, man, you need to thank Farrakhan, because Farrakhan brought me and you closer. And he'd be like, oh boy, shut up. But actually, that's I began to ask him questions about God when I was hearing what the Nation of Islam was preaching. And I always went back on my Christian background, so I would ask different questions. So, but the Nation of Islam made more sense to me in the majority of these conversations we had. So I say about 15, 16 years ago, that's when our relationship became tight, because we had something to talk about. Like his profession was he dump trucks, so he messed with trucks for over 50 years. And I always tell him, I said, well, you're on your second mission now, because God ain't gonna ask you how many loads you dropped off nowhere. So now we have a spiritual relationship, and this to me it's a beautiful thing.
He's a pastor over a church in Jefferson Parish somewhere, or what?
Yeah, I think he under a pastor over there in Bridge City.
Okay, is in that area. And going back to when you're talking about with young people, you know, like you said, you deal with some of these young brothers, and I've had the opportunity to go there, and man, when you see them, you're looking like babies. But them brothers some of them have some very serious charges. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I would imagine when you meet them, sometimes they come from environments where they may experience verbal abuse and all this other type of stuff. Like, how do you speak life into them? You get them to respect you the way they are.
When first you got to, like I said before, you got to listen. Most people try to pass judgment on them walking through the door. I don't do that, man. You know, I don't talk about their charges with them. How you grew up, what happened. Then when some of those children open up, man, it'd be so heartbreaking when you got young boys talking about they've been molested, and young girls saying the same thing, and I don't have this, I don't have that. It breaks your heart. But once you get the confidence, you can't never do nothing to break that. You break that confidence with them, then you lost them forever. All it is they want somebody to talk to. Then you go from there. So most of the time, I tell them my story. When I tell them my story, they open up with their story. But yeah, they got some serious charges back there, and we losing a whole bunch.
Yeah, how do you you know, some people are afraid to invest in you because they're afraid that if I invest time in them, they end up going and do something else. You know, how do you handle that? Is that even a concern? Like if they go and do, like you working with them, you see them growing and then they slip, and some people rather just, I ain't messing with you anymore. How do you deal with that?
I don't do it, because in my mind, I feel like I'm doing God's work, and God gonna be the one to reward me for everything I need. You know, even when I was fired, man, I still had to pay bills. They got paid. I still can't tell you how they got paid. I ain't gonna lie. So I feel like just staying on this road, doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do, is gonna be rewarding for me. And I tell people never give up on them, because you eventually you can get through to them, because you don't know to the extent what they don't went through, and you don't know how many times they've been lied to. You don't know how many people done walked away from them. So, like I tell people, long suffering, man. You just got to stay there and stay on your post and do what you have to do, and eventually they'll come around.
Wow, that is some great advice. You were in the Orleans Parish prison. Was that before Katrina or after Katrina?
I started in 2007, so after Katrina.
That was after Katrina. So from working with the adults and working with the youth, are there any things that you see different, or you see any similarities as relates to their challenges, their mindset?
When we speak about mindset, like the book say, the people perish for a lack of knowledge. They do not have the proper information. Without the proper information, they're gonna continue to falter. That'd be my thing. I tell everybody, I say, listen, all you have to do, take the time out. Most of the children back there, I give them the message to the black man. So read this, think about it, test it, see what it is. And like I always go to the one, my thing with them now is this here. Man, God came to save you. They be looking at me like I'm crazy. And that's just how I was looking when I first heard it. God came to save you. So, but once you get there and you get to talking about him, and then I tell them about Elijah Muhammad. I tell them about what I grew up, what I heard, things like that. Same way, I don't make one look no bigger than the other. You take it and see what you can do with it. Whatever works for you, work with it.
Beautiful. We got some people want to give some shout outs, and it's interesting. Our brother, salute to Brother Jamil. We're going to ask you a question shortly. But this brother right here, who was just here in the city, our brother Amir, he does Amir Rashid. I got to get you on here, brother Amir Rashid. When you're not flying, let me know. He does executive protection as well, man. He does executive protection as well. And salute to our brother. I'm saying much love to my brother Willie Muhammad. All praises due to Allah. Thank you. I know you was tuning in on an interview as yesterday as well. And brother Jamil Muhammad, who also put work in the city of New Orleans, he's on. This is a question that he had, Brother Fredrick, as an FOI. Are there any brothers around the nation whose community work you admire?
Well, what Brother Rizzo, Brother Rizzo Islam, and
Brother Rizzo, Brother Rizzo Islam,
and another brother I met, I think it's Knowledge something. I think he out there in Dallas, Texas. I met him last year at Savior's Day. But I watch a whole bunch of talking behind me, Yuri, Troy.
And you had the opportunity, you had the opportunity to meet Brother Troy. Talk about that, man, because when we came into that facility, Brother Troy it was about like 15 brothers, 12 brothers was with him, and these brothers were serving, like giving life sentence back. It was almost like 500 years of time between all of these brothers. So talk about that experience that it had on you, and it had on the boys back there.
Oh, it had a tremendous experience on me, because I got goosebumps when I saw him, because like I say, over the last 15 years, I've been watching all of them off of YouTube. So when I got to see him in person, I'm saying to myself, boy, he about to go off up in here. But he about what, 6'6". So I'm looking at him, I'm waiting for him to go off, but he was a humble man. He let everybody else do the speaking. So I said, whoa, that took me by storm right there. Like, I'm thinking he about to cut up in there. So but it was a beautiful experience for me. I think I had more fun than the children. But after y'all left, I was able to talk to the children more and let them know, like, remember when I was telling y'all about the people? I said, I told y'all. So I went to show them in the form how I look at some of his lectures too. But some of those brothers, well, all of them, they had great stories that suited the children that was in there, because a lot of them at that time was facing what those brothers had done went through. So that was right on.
Yeah, that was definitely it, man, because they were able to hear from brothers who were given, like they said, that they were in prison when they were teenagers, and given life sentences, and they gave the life sentences back, and they and they're here. Let me pause for a second. I just want to do these announcements. We'll be right back. So for those who are tuned in, we thank you all for tuning in. If you have interest and you want to advertise your product or a service that you have, don't hesitate. Reach out to us at BWOWM46 at iCloud.com. We can send you some of the prices that we have, very affordable. And in addition to this, if you know anyone that you would like to see us interview, just let us know. We'll put the link in the description, YouTube description part, and also not just type it in the comments, and we will do our best to reach out to those individuals, right? So in addition to what you're doing, I know you're also an entrepreneur, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And some people, people don't realize, like, with being an entrepreneur, that you have to challenge fears and step out on faith. How has that walk been for you?
Well, I can say all this happened around the time I was getting fired. I had to develop something to start making some money, because my out was going back to the sheriff department. Like I said, another voice come in my head. No, you're not. You got to go through this. And like I tell people, I'm not a child that I can say I went through a lot as a child. My mama protected me from when I listen and see, when I tell people about I call it the Farrakhan experience. When you hear him talk about his mama, I have a similar story, because he talks about how his mom tried to abort him 3 times, and my mama tells a story about when I was coming, because my mom got pregnant with me when she was 15 years old. So when I was coming, they told my mom and my grandmother one of us was gonna have to die. But both of us still here. So it's like what you asked me again? I got lost. I
was just saying in regards to how did you didn't allow fear to stop you. You answered it because you were saying it was right around the time when you got fired. That propelled you to start getting into your entrepreneurship stuff that you was doing.
Oh yeah.
Some people let fear stop them from stepping out and doing stuff.
But like I said, looking at those lectures, he has lectures that talk about fear, getting past the fear. So I used to use all that to help me. So it's like coming into the Nation of Islam, even talking about the Nation of Islam, you got people, when I first started out, they didn't want to support some of the things that I was doing because I was talking about the nation. But gradually, as time went on, those same people, they'll come say, but tell me about this here, tell me about that. How you do this, how you do that. And that's the joy that I'm having now, because most of the people that was against it when I first started it, they done came around to, yeah, bro, I ain't gonna join the nation, but Farrakhan be telling the truth, bro. A lot of my friends. So that's the joy I'm having with it now, that I can tell that it has an impact on their lives now.
And talk about, it was last year you had the opportunity to attend Savior's Day and participate in the graduation. What was that experience like, man? What was the Savior's Day experience like, seeing all those Muslims and the graduation?
Man, that's my first time in my life seeing that many black people together with no bill, no fighting, no cussing, no nothing. I was so excited about that. I was calling back home. That's one thing I told my dad. I was FaceTiming him. I said, you ain't never saw this many black people in one spot together. And we ain't got no problems out here. But it was a great experience for me. Looking forward to the next one.
How was it? How did it feel participating in the graduation?
I ain't gonna lie to you. I was numb, especially when Farrakhan got there. I said, I got this thing about me. He ain't gonna see me cry. How we ain't gonna let nobody see us cry, man. But when I saw that man, I said, man, that's him. You could feel it when this man entered that room and stood up, man. You could feel it. I ain't never experienced nothing like that. But yeah, it was a great experience for me.
Yeah, that's I'm glad that they started doing the actual graduations, because they are it's just beautiful, man, to see all those brothers marching, sisters coming down, and you had your uniform on. How did it feel when you first put your FOI uniform on, man?
Oh man, I felt like I had some power. you feel like it gives you a little power when you put this uniform on.
Yeah,
So,
that was
me.
something, man. And so as we get ready to start wrapping up, we got a few more minutes. Like, what advice would you give someone who is studying the teachings of the Most High Elijah Muhammad, may watch this video and they're hesitant? Like, man, I'm feeling it, but I don't know.
My advice: keep going,
Mm.
keep going, and just see it through. If it's not hurting you, keep going. That's what I tell them. If it's benefiting you in some type of way, I wouldn't care if you just stop eating pork. It's gonna benefit you in some type of way. Keep going. It's just a journey that it's just like when what he 92 years old, you hear him speak, it's like he's still on his journey. So I would tell people, stay pushing, stay on your journey. It's gonna be some ups and downs. It's gonna be some some loopholes and all this. It's gonna be some things when you really join, you're gonna have to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I one of my businesses was selling seafood. So y'all told me I ain't got to sell seafood. I said, man, you selling seafood. But guess what? If you won't do it the right way, hey, I tell people, man, just keep pushing. You're gonna get there.
Man, I didn't realize how comical you are, bro. How much of the sense of humor that you have. But that's good, man. Keep that. And you make me think about like with one of the brothers in our minds. He had a daiquiri business that was making a lot of money when he joined. And he said, like, man, he left away and he ain't missing. He's actually made more money as well, man. So, definitely that's the thing. And salute to our brother at Let's Hope 202205. We appreciate your support and everybody that's coming on. The other question I want to ask you, what message do you want young brothers, especially those facing incarceration, to hear right now? Like what? Like people, sometimes this stuff gets into the prisons. People have access to cell phones. Like, what message you want them to hear right now?
I would tell them, man, this is not the end. Sometimes God will put you away at a quiet space for you to learn. I look at a lot of them, they would not get this information. A lot of them wouldn't get the information if they didn't come inside the facility. Because when they out, they just started running. They ain't looking for nothing. But I would tell them, this is not the end. Go to God. Ask God. I guarantee you, He gonna answer you one day. Might not be the way you think, but you're gonna get an answer.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. One of the things that we do as we get ready to close is we ask the guest that we have right now. I was trying to find a question that the sister that I interviewed last week, the question that she asked. I cannot find it. But we asked the current guest just to leave a question to ask the next guest. You don't know who our next guest is. More than likely, they're going to be a member of the Nation of Islam. So what question would you like to ask them? I'm trying to find this question that the sister had left too.
I would ask them, what made them know that the Nation of Islam was right for them?
What made them know it was right for them?
Because I believe in this life you're gonna have some type of experience, But like I said, I wasn't down and out when I came into this. Most people, they don't have no money. They in jail. It's always you hear people tell a story. It's all about at a down period. Like one man told me he found Jesus in between the bed and the toilet in the jail. I didn't have that problem. I was at the top of my game at the sheriff department, and the things that I gave up a lot to get this knowledge. So that's that's the question I would ask.
What you ask? And salute, walaikum salam to our sister Evan. We received your email for your desire to want to get the game, our sister. We'll be sending you information about it. So, Brother Fredrick, man, thank you for the work that you're doing, brother. And you're dealing with a population that many people run from, man, and many people write off. You're dealing with them young people, and like you said, they have a respect for people who are sincere and committed to them. And the mere fact that you've been able to be back there and you're doing what you're doing with them is a lot, brother. And don't take that don't take that for granted, man. And even the way that you came into the nation, to have an experience like that, brother, that's a lot. And there's something in there. So don't take it lightly, because we come into the nation and we just think we see where we are now, but we never know where we may be at. You know, there are people that have been in the nation who are now they're from New Orleans, they're in Chicago, working hand in hand with the minister. So don't limit yourself. Not saying that you are limiting yourself, but man, Allah has something for you, my brother, and definitely keep it up. Any closing words before we get ready to close out? You want to close out with?
No, just thank you for having me on.
Appreciate it, man. And I can't thank you enough. And it's, you know, man, I when I go to bed at night, I think a lot often for every believer in the mosque. And even though you've been registered for about going on 2 years now, huh? A little closer to 2 years.
Been over a year.
You're over a year. Yeah. And man, your time here and your presence here, it still contributes to our mosque. And we thank you for what you contribute to our mosque that makes our mosque the unique mosque that it is, man. So may Allah continue to bless you. I know you taking care of some business today, and Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
So we thank you all for tuning in, family. With our brother, you had the opportunity to hear his testimony, which is powerful. You know, his testimony, which is powerful. So this is your brother Willie Muhammad, as we get ready to close once again. Hey, if you're interested in promoting any of your stuff, what you can do is you can just send us an email. Reach out to me. You see the email information, or reach out to me on my several social media networks. Let me know. In addition to that, if you are interested, if there's anybody that you would like us to interview, you know, place their name in the chat, place it in the comment section, and we'll definitely reach out to them to learn about their story, and we'll find out if we can actually make that happen. So as we get ready to sign off, we love your support. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if you found this beneficial, if you enjoyed our brother's testimony, let me see you put it in the chat. You know, share this with somebody else. If you missed this, how he came into the Nation of Islam, make sure you go back and watch the early beginning of it. Phenomenal, mind-blowing. Make sure you subscribe to Closing the Gap broadcast as well. And this is your brother. We're signing out in another broadcast of I Have a Testimony. And pay attention and keep your eyes open for who our next guest will be, inshallah, on next Sunday. Assalamu alaikum. Oops, let me get this guy. This is gonna go. Here we go.
God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.